My daughter-in-law kicked me out of the house, but karma hit her hard. I never thought my own family would cast me aside, not after everything I'd sacrificed for them. After Frank died of a heart attack 3 years ago, my world shattered. 42 years together, gone in an instant. My son Michael insisted I move in with him, Sophia, and my precious grandchildren, Lily and Noah. "Mom, we need you," he said. The kids adore having Grandma around. I treasured every moment with them. Each morning, I'd rise early to prepare breakfast, blueberry pancakes for Lily, and dinosaur-shaped eggs for little Noah. I'd pack their lunches, escort them to the school bus, then return to maintain the household. The decision to sign over my house to Michael wasn't easy. It was the home Frank and I had purchased when Michael was just a baby, our sanctuary through decades of hard work and love. "Mom, this investment will transform everything," Michael had explained, eyes gleaming with promise. "The business will triple in size." I believed in my son's vision, so I sold my home and entrusted him with the proceeds, keeping just enough for emergencies before settling into their guest room. What began as a temporary arrangement evolved as the children grew attached to me. The first year brought genuine happiness. Then the atmosphere shifted. Sophia began with subtle remarks. "Eleanor, that's too much detergent. Eleanor, please don't reorganize my kitchen. Eleanor, aren't you spoiling the children?" I retreated into the background. I abandoned cooking special breakfasts. I withheld advice. I even limited my affection toward the children when Sophia was present. One Tuesday evening in April, everything collapsed. Michael had invited business associates for dinner. I'd devoted the day to preparations, crafting my signature apple pie that everyone praised. After the meal, Sophia abruptly stood, her expression contorted with rage. "I can't tolerate this anymore," she exclaimed, pointing accusingly. "I know what you did." The room fell silent as my heart hammered against my ribs. "My diamond earrings are missing," she declared. "The anniversary gift from Michael." The blood drained from my face. "Oh, Sophia, I would never." "Enough," she interrupted. "I've watched you eyeing my possessions, always handling my jewelry when you clean." Michael turned to me, confusion clouding his features. "Mom!" "Michael, I swear I took nothing. Stealing isn't in my nature." Sophia marched upstairs and returned clutching her jewelry box. She upended its contents across the table, scattering necklaces and bracelets before the shocked guests. "See? The diamond earrings have vanished. Who else had access? You're alone here all day." The accusation stung like a physical blow. After 4 decades as a school secretary with an impeccable reputation, suddenly I was branded a thief. Michael drew me aside while Sophia dramatically apologized to their guests. "Mom," he whispered, strain evident in his voice, "perhaps you should stay elsewhere temporarily, until things settle." My own flesh and blood doubted me. The betrayal cut deeper than my grief for Frank. "I'll call tomorrow," he promised, avoiding my gaze. "We'll resolve this." In a daze, I packed a single suitcase, just clothes and cherished photographs. Sophia observed from the doorway, arms crossed in triumph. "I always suspected you were waiting to exploit our generosity," she hissed when Michael moved out of earshot. Rain poured as I stepped onto the porch. Through the window, Lily and Noah pressed their small palms against the glass, their faces streaked with tears. Lily mouthed, "Grandma," while Noah clutched the teddy bear I'd given him at birth. Sophia yanked them away and snapped the curtains shut. I stood in the downpour, 64 years old and suddenly homeless. The taxi driver's concerned glances reflected in the rearview mirror. My appearance told the story. Drenched, clutching my suitcase, fighting back tears. "Everything all right, ma'am?" he inquired. I nodded silently, providing Margaret's address. Thank heaven for her friendship. We'd bonded in our 20s while working at Lincoln Elementary. She'd weathered her own storms, divorce, breast cancer, single parenthood. If anyone could understand my situation, Margaret would. She answered the door in her flowered nightgown, assessed my condition with one glance, and embraced me warmly. "Eleanor, what happened?" Between sobs, I recounted the evening's events. Margaret's modest one-bedroom apartment barely accommodated us both, but she transformed her couch with fresh linens and brought steaming chamomile tea. "Stay as long as necessary," she insisted. "Sophia never appreciated your worth." The following morning, I attempted to reach Michael. My call went unanswered. I tried again at midday, and again as evening approached. In desperation, I dialed from Margaret's phone, An unfamiliar voice answered. "Johnson residence," she stated. "This is Eleanor Johnson. I need to speak with my son." A pause followed. "I apologize, Mrs. Johnson, but Mr. and Mrs. Johnson have instructed me to block your calls." "Pardon? Who am I speaking with?" "I'm their newly hired housekeeper. I've been directed to inform you that continued contact will result in legal action." The line disconnected. I sat motionless on Margaret's floral couch, phone in hand, stunned by this development. "They've changed their number," I informed Margaret later. "They've hired someone to replace me." Margaret's expression hardened. "I'm driving you there immediately. This is outrageous." Upon arrival, our knocks went unanswered. Through the window, toys scattered across the living room floor. Noah's teddy bear lay abandoned in a corner. "We'll return tomorrow," Margaret suggested gently. Days blended into weeks. I applied for Social Security benefits and searched for affordable housing, but the cost of living had soared beyond my means. My modest savings dwindled alarmingly. One sunny afternoon, Margaret and I visited Lincoln Park. As we rested on a bench, a familiar voice pierced the air. "Grandma! Grandma!" Lily sprinted across the code playground, braids bouncing with each step. Noah toddled behind, determined to keep pace. Joy surged through me as I knelt to welcome them. Lily flung her arms around my neck. "We've missed you terribly," she whispered. "Why did you disappear?" "Gamma," Noah murmured, placing his sticky palms against my cheeks. "Come home." Before I could respond, Sophia appeared, fury etched across her features. "Step away from them," she commanded, seizing both children roughly. "Sophia, please," I began. "I only want to poison them against me. Turn my children against their mother?" Her outburst attracted attention from nearby parents. "That's untrue. I would never—" "Keep your distance from my family." She dragged the children toward the parking area. Lily glanced back, her expression heartbroken. Noah wailed, reaching desperately toward me. Margaret squeezed my shoulder supportively. "That woman is truly malicious," she observed. 2 days later, I overheard Margaret's phone conversation. "No, I need immediate transportation," she was saying. "The doctor warns the pneumonia is worsening." Upon hanging up, she avoided meeting my gaze. "My daughter's coming to relocate me to Cleveland," she admitted reluctantly. "Medical advice says independent living isn't feasible right now." "But what about—" The question died on my lips. Margaret clasped my hand reassuringly. "Rent is covered through month's end. That provides 2 weeks to secure alternatives." After Margaret's departure, isolation enveloped me. I combed newspapers for affordable accommodations, but even the most modest exceeded my budget. When the month concluded, I packed my belongings and left the key on the counter. My financial assets totaled exactly $342. That evening, I reluctantly checked into a women's shelter downtown. The narrow bed offered little comfort as someone sobbed in the adjacent room. I secured my purse against my chest, memories of my beautiful blue guest room at Michael's house haunting me. First night, the woman occupying the neighboring bed appeared approximately my age, with silver hair and compassionate eyes. I acknowledged with a silent nod. "It becomes more manageable," she assured me. "But darling, secure an exit strategy quickly. This environment isn't suited for someone of your background." Sleep eluded me that night as I contemplated how thoroughly my life had unraveled. The shelter permitted a maximum 3-night stay. On my final morning, a volunteer located a rental room in Westside. Though the neighborhood had a questionable reputation, the monthly rate of $350 including utilities matched my limited means. The accommodation was smaller than the walk-in closet in my former home with Frank. It contained a twin bed with a worn mattress, a dresser missing one drawer, and a hot plate balanced precariously on an unsteady table. The communal bathroom served 5 tenants. "It's sanitary," the landlord remarked, pocketing my initial payment. "No overnight visitors, no disruptive noise. Payment due the first of each month." After his departure, I surveyed the water-stained ceiling. My remaining funds totaled exactly $42. Employment became my priority. Yet who would hire a 64-year-old with arthritis and dated work experience? The following morning, I traversed Martin Luther Road, inquiring at every establishment about job opportunities. Most individuals barely acknowledged my presence. By midday, physical discomfort matched my emotional exhaustion. I paused at a modest office building to rest. The sign read, "Parker Legal Services." "You're obstructing the entrance when, ma'am." I glanced up to find a tall gentleman with silver hair regarding me seriously. "I apologize," I mumbled, struggling upright. He studied me momentarily. Are you well? Something in his gentle inquiry breached my defenses. Embarrassingly, tears sprang forth. The man awkwardly patted my shoulder and guided me inside. His office, though cluttered with legal volumes and documentation, maintained impeccable cleanliness. I'm Thomas Parker, he introduced himself, offering a tissue. Share your situation. Perhaps I can assist. Inexplicably, I confided everything to this stranger. Frank's passing, the house sale, Sophia's accusations, and my subsequent ejection. Upon concluding my account, Thomas leaned back thoughtfully. I require someone to maintain this office twice weekly, he stated. The compensation is modest but might help. It wasn't charity. The space genuinely needed attention. For $50 weekly, I dusted shelves, vacuumed floors, and organized files. Thomas maintained polite but professional distance, often working during my cleaning sessions. With my initial earnings, I purchased baking essentials, flour, sugar, butter. In my humble room, I mixed ingredients manually and baked cookies on the hot plate. The following day, I approached the neighborhood coffee shop. I used to bake for my grandchildren, I explained to the young barista. Would your establishment be interested in selling these? She sampled one, her expression brightening. These are exceptional. Let me consult management. Within a week, I supplied the cafe with 24 cookies daily. Though the income was limited, combined with my cleaning position, it covered groceries and permitted modest savings. One evening, Thomas requested assistance organizing archived case files. Among them, a folder containing newspaper clippings caught my attention. The headline froze my blood. Local woman accused of defrauding elderly couple. The article, dated 7 years prior, featured a photograph that sparked immediate recognition. It showed Sophia, younger, with different hairstyling, but unmistakably her. According to the report, she'd served as caregiver for an elderly couple, manipulating them to modify their will before their deaths. Thomas, I called, my voice quavering. What is this documentation? He examined the clipping, frowning. That's the Hamlin case file. Charges were dismissed when the victims died before testimony. His eyes widened in recognition. Wait, is this your daughter-in-law? I confirmed with a silent nod. Thomas sank into his chair. Eleanor, we should discuss this further. I'm not merely a paralegal. I practiced law for 40 years before semi-retirement. If your account is accurate, your daughter-in-law exhibits a pattern of targeting vulnerable individuals. That evening, returning to my room, I discovered an envelope slipped beneath my door. My heart leaped upon recognizing Lily's careful handwriting. Inside lay a crayon illustration depicting our family, Michael, Lily, Noah, and myself, holding hands. Sophia was conspicuously absent. On the reverse, Lily had written, "We miss you, Grandma. Mommy is mean now. Noah cries every night." I clutched the drawing to my heart, overwhelmed with emotion. My grandchildren needed protection. For the first time since that terrible evening, determination kindled within me. Perhaps with proper support, I could reclaim what was rightfully mine. Thomas approached my situation with unexpected dedication. Too much investment for mere kindness from a stranger. Why assist me so thoroughly? I questioned him during an afternoon of phone calls to his former colleagues. Setting down his phone, he exhaled deeply. My mother faced similar circumstances. My late wife's sister exploited her, depleted her finances, and abandoned her destitute. My career demands prevented me from intervening until too late. His gaze met mine directly. I failed her then. Perhaps I can make amends through helping you now. Thomas's inquiry revealed disturbing patterns. Sophia had altered her identity twice before encountering Michael. She'd briefly worked at 3 separate elder care facilities, departing each following accusations of missing valuables. She's calculating, Thomas observed. Never sufficient evidence for prosecution, yet always a consistent pattern. We required concrete proof of her current activities. Thomas suggested contacting anyone still connected to Michael's professional circle. Victoria, Michael's executive assistant, came to mind. She'd consistently shown kindness, sharing extra holiday treats and inquiring about my recipes. Summoning courage, I visited Michael's office during lunch when he'd be absent. Victoria's expression registered shock upon seeing me. "Mrs. Johnson, everyone's wondered about your sudden absence." I explained the circumstances calmly. Victoria's reaction transformed from surprise to indignation. "I sensed impropriety," she confided, lowering her voice. As Sophia frequents the office, examining financial statements, transferring funds between accounts, Michael signs documents without scrutiny. Victoria glanced nervously around. This information is confidential. But recently I overheard Sophia's phone conversation in Michael's private office. She discussed finalizing preparations and mentioned he won't anticipate the outcome. Nausea gripped me. Do you believe she's planning abandonment? Victoria nodded. Furthermore, I suspect she's diverting company assets. Unauthorized withdrawals occur regularly. Substantial amounts Michael remains unaware of. 2 days later, Victoria arrived at Thomas's office carrying a manila envelope. I duplicated these records, she whispered, handing them to me. Bank statements, transfer documentation, and this evidence. She displayed a photograph on her phone showing Sophia in a restaurant, intimately holding hands with an unfamiliar young man. His name is Craig, Victoria explained. He began attending corporate functions approximately a year ago. Sophia introduced him as her cousin. Thomas examined the financial documentation carefully. She's methodically relocating assets and establishing accounts solely in her name. My professional assessment suggests preparation for divorce proceedings designed to maximize financial gain. My heart ached for Michael. Despite everything, maternal instinct remained powerful. I must warn him, I insisted. Thomas disagreed. Not yet. Without irrefutable evidence, he'll dismiss your claims. Sophia has poisoned his perception of you. We require additional proof. His assessment was accurate, though withholding such information from my son felt unconscionable. Lily's note echoed in my mind. Mommy is mean now. What unseen developments occurred within that household? The following afternoon, while baking in my modest room, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Hello, Mrs. Johnson. This is Nurse Matthews from St. Luke's Children's Hospital regarding your grandson, Noah Johnson. Time seemed to freeze. What happened? Is he safe? He's stabilized now. He experienced a severe asthma attack. Your contact information appeared in his file as emergency contact. I gripped the phone tightly. I'm departing immediately. Mrs. Johnson, I should inform you, his mother explicitly prohibited your visitation. Quick thinking prevailed. What about his father? Is Michael present? No, only his mother, but she left approximately 20 minutes ago. Mentioned urgent calls requiring attention. That information sufficed. I grabbed my purse and rushed toward the bus stop. At the hospital, I maintained a purposeful stride with downcast eyes, projecting belonging. Locating Noah's room, I peered inside. My grandson appeared diminutive amid medical equipment. His eyes remained closed, his breathing labored. I slipped inside, taking his small hand in mine. His eyelids fluttered open. Gamma, he whispered hoarsely. You came back. I'm here, sweetheart, I assured him, controlling my emotion. Grandma's here. He attempted smiling, triggering a coughing fit. I told Lily you wouldn't leave forever. I smoothed his hair tenderly. What happened, Noah? Why are you ill? Mommy took my special medicine away, he explained, eyelids drooping. She said I pretended for attention, but breathing hurts my chest. Cold fury washed over me. Noah had received an asthma diagnosis at age 3. His condition required daily medication. Mrs. Johnson, a sharp voice interrupted from the doorway. Sophia stood there, livid. Step away from my child. He needs his medication, Sophia, I stated calmly for Noah's benefit. His asthma requires treatment. Leave before I summon security, she threatened, advancing. Observing Noah's frightened expression, I recognized a confrontation would only traumatize him further. I'll return, sweetheart, I promised, kissing his forehead. Sophia seized my arm painfully as I passed. These children will remain permanently beyond your reach, she threatened quietly. I'll ensure it. I freed myself from her grip. We shall see about that. Outside the hospital, I contacted Thomas, my hands trembling with righteous anger and concern. She's neglecting Noah's medical necessities, I reported. This transcends financial exploitation. The children face genuine danger. This alters our approach, Thomas responded gravely. We must accelerate our timeline. I'll contact Child Protective Services immediately tomorrow. Sleep evaded me that night. Noah's vulnerable face and labored breathing haunted me. I worried for Lily, alone with Sophia's escalating hostility. For the first time since Michael requested my departure, determination replaced despair. Sophia had stolen my home, alienated my son, and now endangered my grandchildren. No more passive acceptance. The time had come to reclaim what mattered most. The next morning, I called Nurse Matthews to check on Noah. "He's much better today, Mrs. Johnson. The doctor says he can go home tomorrow if his breathing remains stable. Is his mother there now?" "No. She called to say she has an important meeting and can't visit until evening." My heart raced. This was my chance. 30 minutes later, I walked confidently into the pediatric ward, carrying a small teddy bear and a children's book. Noah's face lit up when I entered. "Grandma, you came back." "Of course I did, sweetheart. I promised, didn't I?" I sat beside his bed and took his small hand. "Will you read to me?" He pointed at the book. "Mommy never reads to me anymore." For the next hour, I read stories, stroked his hair, and sang the lullabies from his infancy. The nurse smiled when she checked his vitals. "His oxygen levels have improved dramatically since yesterday," she whispered. "Whatever you're doing, it's working." Noah fell asleep holding my hand. I stayed until the nurse warned me that Sophia would arrive soon. As I kissed his forehead goodbye, he stirred. "Are you coming home now, Grandma?" The question broke my heart. "Not yet, sweetheart, but I'm working on it. Lily cries at night," he said sleepily. "She says she wants her real mommy back." I left with tears streaming down my face, more determined than ever. 3 days later, Victoria called. "The children will be at Greenfield Park tomorrow at 3 p.m. with their nanny. Sophia has a spa appointment." "How do you know this?" "I schedule her appointments. Being underestimated has its advantages." The nanny, a kind-faced college student named Jenny, seemed relieved when I approached the code playground where Lily and Noah were playing. "You must be Grandma Eleanor," she said. "The kids talk about you constantly." Lily spotted me and screamed with joy, running full speed into my arms. Noah followed, his little legs pumping furiously. "You found us!" Lily exclaimed. "I'll always find you," I promised, hugging them tightly. Jenny kept watch while we played. I learned that Michael worked longer hours now, that Sophia spent most days shopping or at meetings, and that the new housekeeper didn't make cookies or tell bedtime stories. "Daddy looks sad all the time," Lily confided as we sat on a bench sharing ice cream. "He shouts on the phone about money. And Mommy broke my dinosaur when I spilled juice," Noah added, his bottom lip trembling. My blood boiled, but I kept my expression calm. "Things will get better soon," I assured them. These secret meetings became our lifeline. Every week, Victoria would arrange for the children to be somewhere Sophia wasn't. Sometimes it was the park, sometimes the library, once even at the coffee shop that sold my cookies. On our 5th meeting, disaster struck. We were at the code playground when a black SUV screeched to a halt nearby. Sophia emerged, her face contorted with rage. "I knew it!" she screamed, marching toward us. "You can't stay away, can you?" The children clung to me in fear. Jenny stood protectively in front of us. "Mrs. Johnson, I didn't authorize this," she stammered. Sophia ignored her. "This is harassment," she hissed at me. "I'm calling my lawyer." "You'll never see them again. Your lawyer might be interested in Noah's medical records," I replied quietly, "and in what Lily told me about you breaking Noah's toys." Something flashed in Sophia's eyes. Fear, perhaps. She grabbed the children's hands. "Say goodbye to Grandma. Forever." "No," Lily cried, reaching for me. "Grandma," Noah wailed. As Sophia dragged them away, I felt my resolve crumbling. What if she was right? What if I could never see them again? That evening, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. "Eleanor, it's Margaret." Her voice was the sweetest sound I'd heard in weeks. "Margaret, are you back?" "Got in yesterday. My daughter drove me. The pneumonia's gone, and I'm staying in my old apartment. The tenant moved out last week." She paused. "Victoria called me. She told me everything." I poured out all that had happened. Margaret listened, occasionally muttering things like, "That witch," and "poor babies." "I'm losing hope, Margaret," I admitted. "Sophia controls everything. What if I can't win?" "That's not the Eleanor I know," she said firmly. "The Eleanor I know fought off those budget cuts at school. The Eleanor I know nursed Frank through cancer the first time. You're a fighter." Before I could respond, my phone beeped with a text message. It was from an unknown number, but the content made my blood freeze. "Grandma, please help. Mommy says we're going on a trip tomorrow. She packed our suitcases. She says Daddy isn't coming. I'm scared." "Margaret," I said, my voice suddenly steady. "I need to go." "What do you need?" she asked without hesitation. "Everything. I need everything. The next morning brought unexpected news. Mrs. Chen, owner of the coffee shop, called me excitedly. Mrs. Johnson, my customers can't get enough of your cookies. The man who owns the vacant shop next door tried one yesterday. He wants to talk to you. Mr. Patel owned several properties downtown. He sat across from me in his office, dunking one of my chocolate chip cookies into his tea. Mrs. Johnson, this is extraordinary, he said, closing his eyes in appreciation. The space next to the coffee shop has been empty for months. It's small, but with minimal renovation, it could become a bakery. Mr. Patel, I appreciate the offer, but I can't afford 3 months free rent, he interrupted. Then a reasonable rate with percentage of profits. I know talent when I taste it. I left his office with a key and a business card for a local bank that might offer small business loans. As I walked home, my phone rang. It was Thomas. Eleanor, I've found something. Can you come to the office? Thomas looked different when I arrived. He'd trimmed his beard and wore a crisp blue shirt instead of his usual rumpled attire. You look nice, I commented. He blushed slightly. I wanted to look professional for our meeting. What meeting? With the detective I hired. He's been following Sophia. The detective, a no-nonsense woman named Abby Martinez, spread photographs across Thomas's desk. Sophia entering a motel. Sophia with the young man from Victoria's photo. Sophia at a bank I didn't recognize. She's emptied 3 accounts in the last week, Abby explained, and she's purchased plane tickets to Cancun, one way, for herself and 2 minors. The children, I gasped. She's planning to take my grandchildren out of the country. When? Thomas demanded. Tomorrow afternoon. Private airfield outside the city. After the detective left, Thomas paced the office. We need to stop her. We have enough for an emergency custody hearing, but not until Monday. That's too late. Thomas stopped pacing and faced me. His expression softened. Eleanor, there's something I need to say. Working with you these past weeks, I've come to— Thomas, I interrupted gently. I care for you too. But right now, I need the lawyer more than the man. He nodded, understanding in his eyes. Then let's get to work. That evening, my phone rang. It was Margaret, her voice trembling with excitement. Eleanor, you won't believe what just happened. I went to drop off some groceries at Michael's house. Yes, I know, but I wanted to see the children. And the door was open. I heard shouting, so I went in. And, Margaret, slow down. Sophia was screaming at Lily for spilling juice on a suitcase. She slapped her, Eleanor, across the face. I recorded it on my phone. My blood boiled. Where are the children now? Michael came home while I was there. He saw me comforting Lily. Sophia tried to say I broke in, but Michael wouldn't listen. He took the children to his mother-in-law's for the night. His mother-in-law? Sophia's mother. No, his first wife's mother. The children's grandmother on their biological mother's side. Apparently, they've stayed close. This was news to me. Michael's first wife had died of cancer when the children were toddlers. I'd never met her mother. Does Sophia know where they are? I don't think so. She was still screaming when Michael packed them into the car. I called Thomas immediately. We need to reach Michael now. Tonight. I'll try his office, he said. An hour later, Victoria called. Michael's here. Working late. He sounds terrible. Eleanor, I told him you needed to speak with him urgently. Did he agree? No. He said he can't deal with mother drama right now. But Eleanor, he's looking at the company accounts. He knows something's wrong. I hung up feeling helpless. So close, yet still so far. My phone pinged with a text from Lily. Grandma, we're at Nana Jean's house. Daddy took us here. Mommy doesn't know. Daddy is very angry. Then another text. Daddy found papers in Mommy's desk. He's been crying. I called Thomas. We need to move now. The next morning dawned bright and clear. A beautiful day for an escape to Mexico. But Sophia wouldn't be making that trip. Thomas and I arrived at Michael's house at 9 a.m. sharp. Victoria had confirmed he'd taken the day off, the first in years. My heart pounded as Thomas rang the doorbell. Michael opened the door, looking haggard. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his usually neat hair stood in disheveled spikes. Mom? His voice cracked. What are you— Who is this? Michael, this is Thomas Parker. He's my attorney. We need to talk about Sophia. His face hardened. There's nothing to discuss. I'm handling it. Are you handling her plan to take the children to Mexico this afternoon? Thomas asked calmly. Michael's face drained of color. What did you say? May we come in? I asked gently. Inside, the house was in disarray. so unlike the immaculate home I'd maintained. Michael led us to the kitchen where papers covered the table. "I found these yesterday," he said, gesturing to bank statements. "Hundreds of thousands of dollars, gone." When I confronted her, she denied everything, said I was paranoid. He looked at me, pain etching his features. "Then she said you must have taken it before you left, that you'd always been jealous of our success. And you believed her?" The hurt in my voice was palpable. I didn't know what to believe anymore. He sank into a chair. "But then I found these." He pushed forward a stack of emails. "She's been planning to leave for months with some guy named Craig." Thomas nodded. "We know about Craig. We also know about her history of exploiting vulnerable people." We laid out everything. The newspaper clippings, the photos, the bank records Victoria had provided, and Abby's evidence of the flight plans. Michael listened in stunned silence. When we finished, he buried his face in his hands. "I've been such a fool," he whispered. "What kind of man doesn't believe his own mother?" Before I could answer, the front door slammed. Sophia's voice rang out from the hallway. "Michael, why is there a strange car in the driveway?" She froze in the kitchen doorway, her eyes widening as she took in the scene. The papers on the table, Thomas's professional presence, and me, sitting beside my son. "What is she doing here?" she hissed. Michael stood slowly, explaining how my wife has been stealing from our company and planning to kidnap my children. Sophia's expression shifted from shock to calculation. "Darling, you can't believe these lies. Your mother has always been jealous of me. She's manipulating you. Stop it, Sophia." Michael's voice was ice cold. "I know everything. The money, Craig, the plane tickets. I can explain. You can explain why you hit Lily yesterday? Why you took away Noah's asthma medication?" My voice shook with anger. "They're my children," she shrieked. "They're my grandchildren," I countered, standing to face her. "And I will not let you hurt them anymore." "Where are they?" Sophia demanded, looking around wildly. "What have you done with them?" Michael stepped between us. "They're safe, away from you." Something dangerous flashed in Sophia's eyes. She reached for her phone. "You think you've won? I'll destroy all of you. I'll tell everyone what a terrible mother you were, Eleanor. How you tried to seduce Michael's business partners. How you're mentally unstable." "I wouldn't do that," Thomas said calmly, producing a document from his briefcase. "This is a temporary restraining order, preventing you from accessing any joint accounts or properties owned with Mr. Johnson. It also grants him temporary custody of the children." "You can't do this!" she screamed. "And I just did." Thomas handed the paper to Michael. "Signed by Judge Hernandez this morning." Sophia lunged for the document, but Michael held it away from her. "It's over, Sophia." "Nothing is over." She grabbed her purse from the counter. "I still have the offshore accounts. You'll never find that money." "Actually," Thomas interjected, "the FBI is very interested in those accounts. Wire fraud across international borders is a federal offense." The color drained from Sophia's face. She looked from Thomas to Michael to me, like a cornered animal. "Get out of my house," Michael said quietly. "It's my house too," she snarled. "Not according to the prenuptial agreement you violated through infidelity and financial fraud." Thomas's voice remained professional, but I detected a note of satisfaction. Sophia's composure cracked completely. "Isan, you'll regret this. All of you." She stormed toward the door, then turned back, venom in her eyes. "Especially you, old woman. I made your son hate you once. I can do it again." After she slammed the door, silence fell over the kitchen. Michael looked at me, tears streaming down his face. "Mom," he choked out, "can you ever forgive me?" I opened my arms, and my son collapsed into them like he used to do as a little boy. "And I already have," I whispered, stroking his hair. "I already have." The months that followed brought more changes than I could have imagined. Sophia was arrested trying to board a private plane to Mexico. The charges were extensive: wire fraud, embezzlement, child endangerment, and attempted parental kidnapping. While the legal system dealt with Sophia, I focused on healing what mattered most: our family. Mr. Patel's vacant storefront transformed into Eleanor's Sweet Memories Bakery. With Thomas's help, I secured a small business loan. The grand opening drew a line down the block. "You need help," Margaret declared after watching me rush between the counter and kitchen. "And I need something to do besides watch daytime television." She became my business partner, handling the front of the shop while I created the baked goods that quickly became famous throughout the neighborhood. Michael worked tirelessly to rebuild his company after Sophia's theft. Many evenings, He'd bring the children to the bakery after hours. While he reviewed financial documents at a corner table, I taught Lily how to decorate cookies. "Like this, Grandma?" she asked, carefully piping icing onto a heart-shaped cookie. "Perfect, sweetheart. You're a natural." Her small face glowed with pride, something I hadn't seen since before that terrible night Sophia accused me of theft. Noah preferred helping with the mixing. Standing on a stool beside me, his face dusted with flour, he would giggle as the electric mixer whirred to life. "Grandma, when can I live with you again?" he asked one evening. Michael looked up from his paperwork. "Actually, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about that." The conversation led to a solution that benefited everyone. Michael and the children moved into the apartment above my bakery. I moved into a small but charming house Thomas found just 3 blocks away. Close enough for daily interaction, but with enough space for privacy. Thomas became a fixture in our lives. At first, he offered legal advice and business counsel, but gradually, our relationship evolved into something deeper. I never expected to feel this way again after my wife died. He confessed one evening as we sat on my porch swing, "But you make me remember what happiness feels like." I leaned my head against his shoulder. Life has a way of surprising us. 6 months after the bakery opened, I received a letter from the Women's Correctional Facility, where Sophia was serving her sentence. She requested a visit. Thomas advised against it, but something inside me needed closure. The woman who sat across from me in the visiting room barely resembled the polished, confident Sophia who had driven me from my home. Her designer clothes had been replaced by a drab prison uniform. Her perfectly styled hair hung limp around her pale face. "Why did you want to see me?" I asked. "To tell you that you haven't won," she said, but the words lacked conviction. "I'll get out eventually. I didn't come for threats, Sophia. I came to forgive you." Her eyes widened in genuine surprise. "What?" "Holding on to hate only hurts me, not you, so I'm letting it go." "I don't want your forgiveness," she snapped. I stood to leave. "That's the difference between us, Sophia. You take what isn't yours. I give what is mine to give." As I walked away, she called after me. "How are the children?" I turned back. For a moment, I glimpsed something almost human in her eyes. Concern, perhaps even regret. "They're healing," I said simply. "They're loved." The following Sunday, we gathered at my new home for dinner. Michael and the children, Margaret and her daughter, Thomas, Victoria and her husband, even Jenny, the former nanny. The dining room overflowed with laughter and conversation. After dessert, my special apple pie, we moved to the backyard where Michael had installed a fire pit. As twilight descended, Noah climbed into my lap while Lily leaned against my side. "Tell us a story, Grandma," Lily requested. "What kind of story?" "A story with a happy ending," she said, looking around at the faces illuminated by firelight. "My family, both by blood and by choice." I smiled. "Once upon a time," I began, "there was a grandmother who thought she had lost everything." Thomas squeezed my hand as Michael raised his glass in a toast. "To Mom," he said, "who taught me that real strength isn't about never falling. It's about how you rise after being knocked down." As stars appeared in the darkening sky, I realized that sometimes life's greatest blessings come disguised as its greatest challenges. Sophia had kicked me out of my home, but in doing so, she'd set in motion the events that would ultimately lead to this moment of perfect belonging. Justice had indeed come full circle. Did my story touch your heart? Like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more emotional journeys like mine, and click the screen now to hear someone else's powerful story of justice and redemption.